Hi everyone, welcome back to Temi Adi Academy. In today's video, we'll be diving into interfacing, a crucial material in sewing. Whether you're making your structured garment, reinforcing colors, or adding stability to fabric, choosing the right interfacing can make a huge difference in your final project. I'll be covering the main types of interfacings, how to use them, and when to choose one over the other. Let's get started. Our first type of interfacing is your fusible interfacing. This is the most common type of interfacing, and it has a shining glue-like coating on one side that bonds to the fabric when pressed with heat. So as you can see the shining part on this interfacing, and this side is not shining. It's not shining. And your fusible interfacing can come either as woven or non-woven. So let's talk about the woven fusible interfacing. The woven fusible interfacing is created the same way your regular fabric is created. So with lengthwise and crosswise grain lines. So it was weaved together. And this is an example of what a woven fusible interfacing looks like. You can see it's having the frill the fray is fraying on this side the same way your regular fabric frays. So this is a woven fusible interfacing. The other type of fusible interfacing is the non-woven. This was created by bonding fibers together, and this type of interfacing has no grain, so it has no grain line. So when you're cutting it, you can cut it in on any direction. So this one is a non-woven interfacing, and these interfaces can come as lightweight, medium weight, and heavyweight. So you select the type of weight based on the type of material you're using. So based on the fabric you're working with. So if you're working with a lightweight material, you can use a lightweight interfacing. Or really, it depends on the project you're working on and the type of fuel or the type of drip you're aiming for. You will select the weight based on that. So how do we fuse our interfacing to our garment? You take your, let's say this is our garment, take it, you take the fusible side, so the glue side or the shiny side, and you turn it to the, so you are going to be fusing this to the wrong side of your material. So let's say this is the wrong side of our material. This is our interfacing, the bonded side or the glue side. Put it on our material. Then you take your pressing cloth, or your ironing cloth. So you can use either organza or cotton fabric. So I'm using my muslin fabric for this. I lay it there and I take my iron. I'm not going to be using steam to fuse this interface into my garment. I'm not going to be using steam. So take my iron and put it there for a few seconds. So you put it there for a few seconds, hold it, you're pressing down. I'm not using my steam. And then I move my iron to the next side, press again for a few seconds. So just glide your iron a little bit, press it again for a few seconds, press it again. So why am I using my pressing cloth? This is to avoid the fusing from staining your iron. You don't want it to stain your iron. So, and by the way, for the longest time I used to use steam to fuse my interfacing, and then I realized that you're not supposed to use steam to fuse your interfacing, because the water from the steam can kind of affect the glue on the interfacing and cause the glue not to, or the interfacing not to glue properly to your garment. And yeah, that was definitely true, because sometimes after I'm done pressing, it doesn't fuse well. It doesn't fuse well to my garment. So yeah. So it take it, you see, let me take this iron. I'm not about to burn myself. So you can see it has been fused. It has been fused. So this would add a little bit of structure. This is a lightweight. This is the lightweight interfacing that I used. It has added a little bit of structure to my fabric. So it depends on the type of drape or the type of structure. So if you're looking for if you want it to be very structured, you can use an heavyweight interfacing. If you want just a light structure, you can use a lightweight interfacing. So those are your fusible interfacing. Let's talk about the second type of interfacing, sew-in interfacing. Sew-in interfacing. So basically, we are going to be sewing with we sew this interfacing to our fabric. We sew it to our fabric. We don't fuse it with iron. It's just sewn. And this comes as non-woven and woven as well. So this one is woven. This one is woven. You can clearly see the weft and the warp. That's the lengthwise and the crosswise grain. So you can see the lengthwise and crosswise grain lines. So this is the woven. This is a non-woven sew-in. So when the application process is that you are going to be sewing it to your garment. The other one we fused it with our iron, so we ironed it to our garment. This one we are sewing it. So you cut it, you get your fabric or your garment, and then you sew it. So you take it to your sewing machine and you sew it in. You sew it in. You sew it in first before you continue your sewing project. So that is your sew in interfacing. And choosing, like I mentioned, choosing the the right type of interfacing depends on the project you're working on. When do we use our sewing interfacing? We use it when you are sewing like lightweight material. So if you are sewing working with your silk or satin material, or even organza, velvet, brocades, light, even with leather, you can use your sewing interfacing because these fabrics cannot undo it. They can't undo it. So that's why you can use, that's when you can use your sewing interfacing. So really, like I said, it depends on the project, and sometimes it depends on the location. Like, for example, if you're sewing your collars, and if it's a t-shirt collar or a blazer collar, some brands prefer to use the sewing versus the fusible interfacing. For me personally, I would say that I prefer the fusible interfacing, but I'll prefer the woven fusible interfacing because it has a lot of, it has more structure. I feel like it will not rip easily. So this is my woven in fusible interfacing. See, it's not tearing. See, it's not tearing. But with non-woven, if I take, this is a non-woven fusible interfacing. See, I just thought it's like paper. It's like paper. That's the that's the lightweight version. This is more like the medium weight version. See, I just tore it. It's like paper. So really, for me personally, I prefer the woven fusible interfacing. This would be my preference, and obviously, depending on the project I'm working on, can be either lightweight, medium, or heavyweight. And also, depending on the location I'm working on, I can switch to sew-in interfacing as well. Let me know in the comment sections which type of interfacings you use mostly for your projects. And if you have any questions, you can drop them in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and also hit the notification bell so you don't miss my next sewing tutorial. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Happy sewing.